Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Cobalt Tools Chevrolet. Jimmie, obviously the talk of the last couple of days, the testing here with the new pavement at Pocono, Sunday's race being 100 miles shorter. Just talk a little bit about the testing, your team coming into Sunday's race, and what your expectations are.
Yeah, definitely a lot of track time. It's great for all the teams, and it's nice for us to get a feel for the track. Just watching the television now, it hasn't really, the groove hasn't opened up a lot yet, and I hope that it does. It usually takes a little while for new repaves for us to find the second and third lane, but I have to comment on the comfort of the cars around here at these higher speeds. And as of now, I put a lot of credit into the asphalt mix that was put down. Charlotte, Phoenix, we go to some of these places with the new asphalt aggregate, and we can't get a tire to stick to it. We run fast, but the car is really on edge and isn't all that comfortable, and it makes us tentative in the car, and I don't think we put on the best race that we can. So this track still has the characteristics that it had in the past. It's not perfectly smooth. There still are some interesting transitions in and out of the corners. We can see where some bumps will develop, and I think those are all very good things for stock cars around this racetrack. And I think we'll put on a good show, and once the track ages, we'll move around some more. But from getting on the racetrack feeling a repave standpoint, I don't think it could have gone much better.
Okay, we'll open up for questions for Jimmie. We'll start right here with Dan, then go over to Claire, then Lee and Reed.
Dan Gelston, the Associated Press. Hi, Jimmie. This track for years was probably maybe the most unpopular one in the series for a variety of reasons. But do you feel like with the 400 miles, the improvements they've made, the safety improvements they've made the last couple of years, the new asphalt, that maybe Pocono's reputation can change, or are things changing here at Pocono?
Yeah, I mean, I so appreciate the effort made by the racetrack. As far as the Mattiolis and what they mean to our sport and who they are as people, I couldn't be. I can't say enough great things about them and how much I do enjoy coming here for those reasons. The track is so big and the straightaways are so long. It really wasn't all that much fun to drive until we had that patch up in turn 3, and we all started chasing that patch and created a passing zone. So, I guess I probably favor short tracks more, mile and below, than I would larger tracks. And, anything from a safety standpoint, the improvements they've made, it's just needed and necessary. I know it's not cheap, so I'm grateful that they've made that commitment to the track and us drivers to keep us safe. So we'll just see where the asphalt goes. Hopefully it's real racy and we can get multiple lanes working and put on a great show.
Okay, go ahead with your question, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Your average finish here is like 9.01 or something. And Denny Hamlin was saying it sort of took his advantage away, the repave. Do you still feel like your average finish here, all of what you've done before is benefiting, given that we've had the repave? And then the other thing is, you talked about the comfort in the car. That doesn't always lend to exciting races, does it, when y'all are too comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean by that. But when I look back at Phoenix last November, I guess it was, granted I didn't see the race for the league because I was running like 10th or something, but we were so on edge that we were afraid to really get side by side and to race with each other. And I don't see that being the case here. So that's the part that I'm looking at, is that we're more comfortable in the car. You'll be willing to throw it inside someone, maybe try the outside around someone, and take those risks and those chances. Where at Phoenix, man, you're on ice. You wanted no one around you. You didn't want to run side by side with anyone. You wanted all the racetrack to control your own car. From an advantage standpoint, I experienced that at Charlotte when they repaved it. The old rough, abrasive racetrack, and we had something there that worked, from a car standpoint and from what I did inside the car. And then the repave took that away. So there is a chance that can happen to the 11 team. I think when the grip is this high, it bunches the field up. There's more available grip for everyone to have, and your setup doesn't have to be as good. But I do also know that certain tracks just fit certain drivers and teams. So I still count on the 11 being one of the guys to race for the trophy.
Okay, we'll take our next question up front from Lee, then go to Reed.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. That being said, this has been one of those tracks, and you did it yourself, that once you got the place down, you could, come back. I mean, it didn't change that much from June to July. With it being a fresh pavement, does this just kind of fall into the 48's hands because you guys are so good at, reading trends, seeing trends, and then developing your program around it?
I don't know. I don't think the track will change a lot from now until when we come back here in a few short weeks. But my last impression of the track is how we were yesterday, and we were probably a top 10 car, and some of my teammates were probably top 3, top 5 cars. So we have a little work to do yet today. So I don't have that warm fuzzy feeling yet with my pace. I think we'll be okay, but we're looking to today and hopeful to find a little more speed.
Go ahead, Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. As fast as you're running here now, how radically has that changed the way you run a lap here in terms of break points, corner entry, shift points, things like that? And being 2 seconds under the old track record already, what do you think it's going to take to win the pole here?
It's going to be fast for sure. Even though we're going so much faster, the comfort is there in the cars, and that's why we're able to lay down these laps. And then the tires holding up. So I think, again, it speaks to the tire-asphalt combination and how important that really is, that those two materials, agree with one another. You're in the gas a long time. And I'd say the corner that's most apparent for that is turn 3. I mean, you're in the throttle well before you ever see any part of the straightaway. Make up time on throttle around here. We certainly are getting in the corners deeper and rolling the center faster, but the thing that stands out to me the most is how soon you're to wide open. And then really, if you are shifting, how quickly you need to grab fourth. It's a considerable distance from last year when we were shifting.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Viv in the back.
Keith Greller from the Morning Call, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Jimmie, could you just talk about this year, how it's gone for you, and also your mindset coming into this year, how it might be different than other years coming off all those championships? Is there a hunger that returns, more hunger than when you're on a string of championships, and just how the year maybe feels a little bit different as opposed to other years?
The hunger doesn't change. That's been there my whole life, and even through last year and this year. That doesn't change any. That desire's there. And when that desire fades, I guess it's time to hang up the helmet. But I feel less pressure than what we had last year. I mean, I sat up here and told everyone that I didn't feel a lot of pressure trying to keep the streak alive. But once the streak was closed out and I couldn't keep it alive, I felt a lot different. So looking back on it, I was under a lot of pressure. And I don't have that pressure right now. One, we've been very fast, had fast race cars. We've won a few races here recently. So that helps too. But the pressure of trying to keep that streak alive was greater than I ever expected it or thought it was.
Okay, we'll take it from Viv, then go over to Jeff and Jim.
Okay, Viv Bernstein, NASCAR.com. Obviously, Hendrick's on a run and on a roll, and you're on a roll. But when you come to a track like Pocono that's been repaved, is there an even slate for everybody showing up here, or are the Hendrick cars just that much better when they when you drive through the door that you're already at an advantage?
I think it's pretty even, especially when you get a couple days of practice. And everybody had their telemetry on the cars and work on data files and send them back to the shop, and everybody analyze them and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like open test sessions really create equality and give everybody a chance to make their cars better.
Okay, we'll take a question from Jeff.
Jeff Ross, ESPN. Carl was in here yesterday telling us about aesthetically things felt different to him. Where he was looking, he said he used to look at an old pole that didn't seem like it was in the same place this year. What has it been like for you the last couple of days in terms of your visual points that you're looking at?
I'm not one that really uses those visual references unless I'm on a road course. And I have a lot of young drivers that I try to work with, and it always amazes me what they notice and see, from a fence pole to a cone hanging from the fence, or some other reference outside of the racing surface. I've never been one to look at those things. So to me, it is different because it's black, instead of that old lighter gray with all the cracks and stuff in it. But I haven't looked out and around as Carl has to the other things.
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Noble, ESPN. The role you've been on since Darlington, the momentum that you've gathered, is that momentum bleed over to your teammates? Do you see it as simply a 48 thing, you guys are on a roll, or do you think that pervades the organization from time to time?
Yeah, it does go through the organization. When any member of a team runs well or wins, all the other drivers, crew chiefs, and engineers focus on that setup. Like, okay, what in that setup worked for them, and what can we apply to our car? Or do we need to completely get rid of what we've been using and go that route? That it stimulates conversation and also direction. But it only goes so far. I really think that the most useful momentum is the momentum of your own team running well. It just builds confidence in all the people that need to make decisions, even the guys that go over the wall and have to perform. When you're able to pull into victory lane, it just reinforces everything you do and gives you the confidence that everyone needs. So, and luckily, all 4 of our Hendrick cars have been running very, very well. So we've been reaping the rewards of both forms of momentum, if you will.
Final question, Jim Utter.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. At your best guess, between now and when the chase starts, you'll have 2 races here that are shortened and repaved, 2 at Michigan that are repaved, and 1 at Bristol, which will be sort of repaved. That's 5 out of 13. Do you think those 5 will have a bigger impact this season than typically due to those circumstances?
I hadn't thought about that. Yes, I do. Bristol, it's kind of a wild card. I know there's been a lot of caution-free racing there of late, but stuff does happen, and when someone gets turned around, it can take out a bunch of cars. When I think of Michigan and Pocono, there's really 3 or 4 cars that are in the mix every time, and I think that the repave shuffles that up some and brings more guys into the mix, so it could have an impact. Yeah.
Jimmie, thank you very much for your time this morning. We appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.